Next up, we have procurement. You okay? You okay? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Council President Clark and members of City
Pull the
Council.
mic a little closer to you.
Okay. I am Monique Neesmith-Joyner, Interim Commissioner of the Procurement Department. I'm here to present for your consideration the Procurement Department's Fiscal Year 2020 budget request. With me today is Purchasing Director Janira Barrasso and Director of Administration LaShonda Tompkins. The department is requesting a total general fund appropriation of $5,074,563 for fiscal 20. The proposed allocation represents an increase of $60,376 for the FY2019 estimated obligations. The increase is attributed to DC 33 pay increase of 3% and DC 47 pay increase of 3%. 43%, or $2,190,955 of procurement's general fund fund request is designated for citywide charter mandated advertising expenses. The procurement department continues to enhance stakeholder engagement through improved operations, systems, and outreach. We seek to ensure the city's procurement processes are fair and open to all businesses. We are steadfast to market city contracting opportunities to small, diverse, and local businesses. Our department offers 3 monthly vendor workshops and participates in monthly Doing Business with the City workshops sponsored by the Office of Economic Opportunity. This concludes my remarks for the budget hearing, and my staff and I are happy to answer any questions.
Great. Great testimony. Straight to the point. We appreciate that. A couple of questions. As you know, we're always interested in outreach, and one of the things that we've talked about over a period of time, and I don't know if there's some restrictions or prohibitions that don't get us where we actually would love to be, is improving local vendors. I know that there's some issue with respects to the Interstate Commerce Clause in terms of ensuring that we get all local people. We'd like to be in a position to hire or contract with only Philadelphians, but they tell me that that's not necessarily legal.
Right.
What are we doing, though? I mean, bottom line is people would like to see as best possible standards, or I guess in terms of scoring, something in place that weights it towards a local vendor. I know there were a couple of proposals that were put out there about local purchasing, and it would essentially not only by the city of Philadelphia, but we talked to universities. We're trying to get them on board with local purchasing. They don't have necessarily the same regs that we have and limitations. What are we in the city doing to improve it best possible, our ability for local hiring? I know this is a big issue going on now about one of the issues about the contracts around servicing and maintaining municipal buildings. That's a big thing that has come up. It's generally, what are we going to do? What are we doing to encourage or best ensure, I guess we can't ensure, but create an environment where the local vendor has the best opportunity?
Okay. For our public works initiatives, there is a local preference. They can receive a discount from their overall price structure to make them the lowest bidder and possibly make a local business place higher or rank higher than.
What kind of discount?
It's 5%.
Janira Barrasso, Director of Purchasing. So there is local preference, which is 5%, anything over $1 million, and 10% under $1 million.
5.
So let's say someone from New Jersey submits the same pricing as someone from Philadelphia at $1 million, the local vendor will win out by the 10% differential that's placed on their lowest bid, making them the higher bidder or the winning bidder of the contract.
Are we stuck at 5%, or is that something that we think we will not be challenged in court?
I think it's, it's guided by an ordinance, of course, but we don't have to be held to 5% unless you guys decide to change that for us, of course, and, if we introduce it. But it's between 5 and 10% at this time. So 10%, anything under $1 million, and of course, anything above is 5%.
Okay. What about minority participation, MBE, WDB? Is there a discount for that given prior?
Minority preference. So we do have ranges that are set on all of our projects, individual. With Public Works, they range between 20 and 30%, overall in general. However, they're reviewed individually by the Office of Economic Opportunity. And of course, departments engage whether or not that can be improved upon. And of course, the procurement department, if we receive ranges or goals that can be higher with our citywide bids, we would encourage a higher range as far as, having a general contractor have some subcontracting opportunity that's a little bit more robust.
All right. I mean, I'm sometimes, if we don't get pushback, it tells us that we're not pushing the envelope enough.
Right.
So I get encouraged when I get pushback when I'm
Absolutely.
doing something for what I believe to be the right thing. People,
Absolutely.
I say, I'm hitting the button. But if people are just like, oh, okay,
Absolutely.
I'm not really doing anything.
Right.
So are we getting any pushback for what we're currently doing in terms of local / disadvantage?
I haven't seen as of late, I would have to say the procurement department has become more forward-facing with vendor engagement workshops where we bring in vendors in to learn our process. So we are educating the vendor community. A lot of our participants that come out are local, so they're, I guess, getting an upper hand and seeing people that are doing the work, that understand the contracting process of city government. And they're coming in and they're taking advantage of learning how to do business with us. So that's an advantage that local companies do have. Also with getting a leg in with small order purchases or anything under $34,000, we are actually encouraging departments to look at minority women vendors and small business vendors first, to solicit those vendors first. And, if they can't receive responses back from that community, of course, they have to go to the open market. However, departments are highly encouraged to solicit minority women vendors first for small order purchases.
Only for small?
At this time, yes. At this time, yes. Anything over 34, it has to go to the open market.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how that goes when it's competitive.
Exactly.
The folks that have traditionally been kept out of the market continue to be kept out of the market. So that's why we're looking at possibly doing something outside of the box, so to speak. This whole issue about competitive bidding seems to always favor the folks that have always gotten all the contracts. So until we do something different, maybe let the courts figure it out.
Correct.
It's going to continue to go along the same path. Had last night in the public testimony, there was a gentleman, former employee of the city, a consumer affairs advocate, Mr. Haver, actually. And he wanted us to check on our labor standards. Are they expected for procurement contracts, i.e. when we procure and select a person or a company for a contract, do we look at the labor standards of the individuals? How do they pay? Have they complied with all issues around labor related issues? Do we have an inspection process related to that?
So the city does have a labor standards unit that oversees the compliance of prevailing wage that are being paid and if they're compliant in paying those wages.
Is that Perry shop?
Perry DiVirgilio, Peretti, DiVirgilio is the person that's the director of Labor Standards Unit.
All right, so we actually expanded his role, the department's role, recently in legislation that they were also supposed to do on-site inspections for certain jobs that we've contracted with. That would also include compliance with goals set forth in there as a part of the EOP. Are you all a part of that process?
I know that there are departments. I actually, prior to joining procurement, I worked for the water department, and I actually went out with LSU, Labor Standards Unit, to the water department projects to do on-site compliance checks on that. So I could speak to that.
Not only wages, but also DBE.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
That's
And
a
again,
big-
that's at the department level. Procurement per se does not execute. However, the buyers do engage with departments to ensure that they're meeting the contract requirements.
Have we ever gone to like say for instance, we contract with an entity that says in their workforce at off-site plant, wherever, that they're in compliance with their plan as it relates to participation in their workforce. Have we ever like gone to a work site kind of like unannounced and say, let's see what's really going on here?
I know LSU does do spot checks. So Labor Standard does do spot checks. However, I'm not sure if LSU would be testifying, but they could speak more to that. But again, and we do have a special services unit for our vendors that we spot check to ensure that they're actually operating out of the city of Philadelphia. So especially with our local business entity, there is a certification where vendors can register to become a local business entity. Our special services unit does go out to do site inspections to make sure, one, that they operate out of the city of Philadelphia, that they're actually having materials on the site, and that they have people that are hired and live out of Philadelphia.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Down.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a couple of questions for you. Good morning. Actually, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
There was a Team Clean contract for public property. I'm just wondering, and this is kind of what Council President is talking about. We were hiring a company from Florida and not a local minority-owned company. And I know there were a few people that reached out to me, and I think others. Where does that stand right now?
We had to defer to public property. We will defer to public property. They're managing that contract process.
Has that contract been procured, or is that still not procured yet?
It is not procured yet.
Okay. And the next question I have is the reverse auction procurement is an approach in which vendors bid and then rebid until the lowest price is reached. And it was told to us it was going to reap huge savings for taxpayers compared to the current system, where companies bid only once. I think the CAO issued an RFP in 2016 to develop a reverse auction tool. Has this been accomplished, and are we utilizing this method?
Yes, it has been accomplished. We are utilizing the method. We do have a vendor for which we contract with for a reverse auction. We have run 3 reverse auctions so far for fiscal 19. One has yielded a 25% savings. Another has yielded a 12% savings. One we did not award because there was a lack of response for, but we do have 4 commodities that we're looking at right now and discussing with the vendor actually just yesterday to possibly complete before end of fiscal.
That's good. So that you're using that and it's saving us money.
Yes.
Are there other areas where you could expand that, or you're looking at every area right now?
Every year, we're looking at contracts that are coming due to expire, existing contracts that are coming due to expire, and identifying commodities that could potentially benefit from the process. Yes.
And this other question is kind of a follow-up to the Council President's question. That is, I don't know if you know this or not, or you could tell us what portion of the city's procurement comes from local vendors based inside the city of Philadelphia, and if you could tell us the percentage in dollar amount. Well, those figures, I don't know if you have them today or you can get them to us.
Yeah, I can get the particular dollar amount back to you, yes.
Okay. And in your opinion, is there anything that we can do to increase the level of utilizing our local providers?
Right now, we participate in a number of outreach efforts. We have 3 of our own on a monthly basis to encourage local vendors to come in and learn about the process. We participate with OEO on a monthly basis, as well as their annual Med Week. We also do outreach on a quarterly basis with a number of chambers, as well as the Philadelphia Gas Works and a few other entities to encourage local business and MWDSBE engagement.
Have you, I think it was a few years ago, maybe it was recently, I don't remember. I think it was either the Comptroller's Office, now maybe the Economy League under Jeff Hornstein, where they talked about the nonprofits, trying to get them to buy more of their goods and services locally versus out of Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. Have you met with them and tried to work together to figure out how we could make that happen?
I've been in the seat for 3 months, so I have not had an opportunity, no.
Okay.
Not myself, thank you.
I would put that on your to-do list, though, because
Okay.
Jeff Hornstein at the Economy League,
Okay.
we would love to see the eds and meds and the nonprofits buy more of the services in the city versus going outside to other areas, especially it would benefit our residents. But they had a whole program where it was a lot of money that was purchased outside the city that could come to people within the city. It was a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Reynolds Brown.
Yes. I want to make sure I heard you correctly in response to Councilman Dom's question. So the contract he referenced, you said has not been procured yet.
I would need to defer to public property. That it's running through professional services, if I'm not mistaken, and that's not under procurement.
Okay. The other observation made regarding that is in questioning the Commissioner for Public Property, she punted the ball to OEO. And in hearing from OEO, so we're trying to figure out where does the responsibility lie with regards to that. So that's the background that you should be aware of. Okay. You may have had the benefit of listening to the administrative officer where there was a lot of queries regarding paying vendors on time.
Yes.
And so what is your role, if any, in that process? Because that continues to be a complaint. Mm-hmm. Just speak to what your role is in helping vendors who we ultimately engage being paid on time.
One of the things that our office...
Pull the mic closer, please.
Sure. One of the things that our office engaged in is changing the contract language to indicate that we are moving to ACH payment come July 1st and engaging with any questions that vendors may have. So any new contract that has come out, I believe from January on, has the language in it to alert vendors that we're moving to ACH.
Okay.
But in terms of the project planning and initiative, procurement has not been directly involved with vendor pay.
Okay. And then one of your colleagues there mentioned that the responsibility is at the department level. This is a follow-up to President Clark's question regarding the water department.
Oh, this is, okay, yeah. So with regards to like Public Works,
Yes.
Compliance on a project, ensuring that the goals are being met on their project plan. Of course, they will work together with OEO, the department, to make sure that the compliance is met. I'm just speaking from experience from when I was with the water department.
Okay.
They set up, at that point, I was the director of participation to ensure that all the economic opportunity plans that were in place for that department, in meeting with contractors on a monthly basis, having them report on subcontractor payments, having them report on how the workforce diversity was ongoing, and receiving reports from those contractors. So they still have that position there. The water department still has that position available there. So again, it's at the department level with their willingness to meet with that compliance.
Okay. Who ultimately has the responsibility to implement a prohibition from a contractor doing future business with the city of Philadelphia? Who ultimately has that, is has, should, or is responsible for using that hammer?
Are you speaking to debarment?
Yes, that's precisely what I'm speaking to.
So I know the department can recommend debarment. However, I believe the procurement commissioner uphold the debarment process.
Okay, repeat that answer.
The procurement department has the ability to debar a company from doing business with the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, so if not now, and a number of us are curious to know what the number is from last year. And I can't remember what other department was sitting at the table, but we got, without any data, the impression that there's been no debarment. And we know that there are companies that are not in compliance, but somehow they end up being added back to or put on lists or not taken off lists, and then end up getting future work with the city of Philadelphia, which is totally unacceptable. So we'd be curious to know what is the number of those who are in a less than satisfactory status with the city because of their lack of compliance.
Having been in the seat for 3 months, I can say that over the past 3 months, there are 2 businesses that have been debarred. We are in collaboration with the IG as well as the Controller's Office regarding other matters with other vendors that could potentially be in an unsatisfactory status with the city.
Okay, all right then. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Moving right along, there appear to be no additional questions. I want to thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
And as always, please be prepared to come back when we have callback. Thank you.